Oh, sweet Mother Mercy, full of grace, what is about to happen here? In the very brief window of opportunity we've had to showcase rain on Turn 200 since it's been implemented into iRacing, we have not had the opportunity to do it, but that is going to change here tonight. It is raining right now. It will not be raining in qualifying nor in the dash race, but it will start raining in the feature, and the track is going to be wet all throughout the event here tonight. Who knows what is about to happen other than absolute pure chaos for the penultimate week of the championship here, for the ASRL Sports Car Championship. It's week 9 of 10, and things are shaping up to get wild on and off the track here in the final 2 weeks of racing. It's the ASRL Sports Car Championship here on Turn 200. It's Matt Williamson, who will be joining us in a second, alongside me, Tommy Cook. Now that the GT4s are rain-enabled after the last update here, we are going to go racing on this very long, very narrow at times, road course in New South Wales, Australia. Bathurst is the more common name for Mount Panorama, which will be having its 4th race event here on Turn 200 tonight. But let's take a look at these point standings. The GT3 Championship was already crazy. It got even crazier after last week. We have 4 drivers within 10 points of one another. Johnny Alford, the bagman, has led the majority of the races this season in the point standings. Lost the lead going into Knockhill. Got it back out of Knockhill after Brody Gunter had problems in that feature. Gunter, the 2-time and defending series champion, has dropped back down to 2nd, but only by 1 point. Josh Heggie made up 1 point. He's now only 4 points behind. And Kevin Bonomi is now only 7 points behind the leaders in the championship here, with 4 rounds of racing to go, 2 weeks of action between here and Daytona Moto next week. On the flip side of things for the GT4s, this championship is well in hand. I think as long as Johnny Hamby doesn't finish last in both races here tonight, he should have things covered, as Alex Howland was able to match the exact amount of points that Johnny Hamby got at Knockhill last week, and nobody else gained any points at all. There's now a tie for 4th between Inika Scarlett and Dan Meglin, but outside of that, things are pretty well done and dusted here for the GT4s, again, without something crazy happening here tonight, which, you know, it's raining. It's raining right now. It's going to be raining again in the feature race. Literally anything is going to happen here tonight. This could be an absolute disaster for somebody in the GT3s who gets swept up in something not of their own doing, or possibly of their own doing. It's all on the table here tonight at Bathurst. Coverage of the American Sim Racing League Sports Car Championship Season number 4, the penultimate week of the championship. We'll continue here from Mount Panorama around the turn on Turn 200.
A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, but don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The Dungeon Labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
When Alex became a god, he thought he would have no problems at all, until he landed in the Divine Dimension and was tasked with protecting the entire multiverse.
Am I connected to every single Alex Ambrose that ever existed?
Alex could travel across dimensions, defying the laws of time and space, to help other Alexes throughout the multiverse. But then everything changed.
No! Aw!
I have to go back and save them.
But if Alex went back to the mortal world, he would relinquish all of his power and his memories.
I don't have a choice. I must go back.
When Alex returned back to Earth, he goes back to being your average business tycoon millionaire, unaware that the people he cared most about are in danger.
Ah, someone help me!
Yvonne, what happened?
I was attacked by a monster. Alex? What's going on? Get away from him! He is my boyfriend!
Who attacked Yvonne in the forest? What will Debbie do next? Who will Alex choose between the two women? Will Alex ever remember who he was before traveling into a different multiverse? To hear what happens next and whether Alex can stop the deranged monster before he strikes again, listen to the original audio drama, Insta Millionaire Returns, only on Pocket FM. Download the app now and find out.
Presentation.
Oh me, oh my. It's time to put the Bath in Bathurst. Tommy Cook, Matt Williamson here, ASRL Sports Car Championship. It is the first ever race here on Turn 200 in the wet. Yeah. It's going to be a slippery night.
It certainly is, and not only is it the first rain race here, wet weather race, you might call it, but it's on the mountaintop as well, which just makes it all the more interesting.
Bathurst is a great circuit. Is it particularly accommodating for some of these GT3s and GT4s? Probably not. The rain certainly adds another wrinkle into it as well. This big 3.86 mile long circuit, 23 turns, each one more treacherous than the last here. We got some laps in the dry-in in practice, and those times came in around 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So pole time right now, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It's not raining currently, but it is certainly very, very wet.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the weather is going to kind of come and go right now. It does look on my screen like there is a little bit coming down, but it's certainly not very heavy.
Yeah, I think the front, it's funny because we've got Doppler radar for the sim that I can look at least, and it does look like the rain literally just got here. As I said, it wasn't raining. So, but yeah, times are all over the board here. Are we riding along with anybody here to see what the sort of feel is around Mount P right now?
Well, we were watching Nate Seifker, but he is attempting this, still driving one-handed, and I can't imagine that's going to go very well. He just got into the wall trying to come down the hill. Now watching Joshua Rutherford on his second lap. Actually, Kevin Bonomi is coming down the hill to complete his second lap. See if Bonomi can go to the top of the board here.
Under a minute left to go in qualifying. Bonomi across the stripe, and he will go to the top of the board. So 2:26.19. Shout out to Rey Mysterio. So Bonomi to the top. He overtakes Josh Hagee. Johnny Alford, who was fastest in the dry in practice, is 8th quickest in the wet. So he has some work to do. Yeah, we got 20 seconds here, Matt. We took our 3-driver championship battle and added in another driver because why not? 4 drivers within 10 points coming into tonight. It's going to be a wild dash to the finish here over the next 4 races.
Yeah, this GT3 class just continues to tighten up at the top of the board. And, I mean, tonight that's one heck of a night to have in the penultimate races of the season with a championship battle that close. So those drivers are really going to have their hands full.
3 of those 4 drivers in the GT3 title hunt are starting first, second, and third. It is Kevin Bonomi with the pole time. Again, 15 seconds slower in the wet than the dry. But it is time to go dash racing, so we'll see what these drivers can do. Josh Hagee going to line up to his outside. Brody Gunter going to start at third. Then it is J.J. Wang starting in P4. Brian Deese and Nate Siefker on the third row. Jeff Mathis and Johnny Alford, the points leader, way back there in 8th. Steve Roman is back for tonight. He starts 9th, next to Jarrell Williams in 10th. And again, everybody starts where they qualify, so Joshua Rutherford going to have to line up behind some GT4 traffic. He lines up 12th on the grid, and Rick Thompson has switched back to a GT3 for tonight. And he did not get to post the time, so he will be all the way at the tail of the field here. For the GT4s, it's Johnny Hamby, 5 wins this season. He's the points leader. He just needs a good night tonight to lock it up for good. Nick Batista will line up to his outside. He provided the thumbnail for tonight. It is Rene Garcia and Matt Schlosser on the second row, Alex Halland and Dan Miglin on the next row. Corey Rutherford then will round out the GT4 starting lineup. Yes, this is a one with a lot of intrigue, not just for the drivers, but also apparently amongst the folks out in turn 200 lane. Chat is popping off. What does Matt Williamson make of all this as the drivers are lined up down the Conrad Straight?
Well, I'm not surprised that folks are tuning in to at least see the starts of these races. It's going to be very interesting to see how these kind of play out as we get going along here. Track conditions, like we said, the rain is going to be on and off here tonight. The drivers actually have unlimited tires because they are allowed to go back and forth if they wish to between a wet and a dry tire. I would imagine they're probably going to be on the wets the whole time, but I don't know. We might get enough dry conditions that they'll want to switch back over by the time the night is over. We will have to see. Only one fast repair here still, though, so they're going to have to be careful. And 14X drive through, 21X is the DQ, more than normal again this week for that disqualification.
Bonomi and Hagee on the front row. Hagee laying way back here. The green flag is out.
Oh,
to hell corner we go.
J.J. Wang taking it 3 wide into hell corner already. Oh, he decides to back off.
Good idea.
Wise decision.
Now we go up the mountain straight to quarry turn. Bonomi with the lead. Gunter, Hagee, and Wang all right here together. Gunter hanging on to second through quarry. So far, so good, but the cutting is approaching quickly.
Gunter and Hagee are in a pretty precarious position, being side by side there into that second corner, going up towards the mountain. That's a tough spot to be in, but they are able to settle it.
Johnny Hamby currently leading the GT4s right now as there goes Joshua Rutherford around up Griffin's Mount. He plummets to the field.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait quite a while.
Oh, and Hamby's off now. Hamby off and hits the wall. He will give up the lead to Rene Garcia. He was going to have to give up the lead anyway. He has a pass-through penalty. He was noted for 3 incidents last week at Knock Hill, so he has a pass-through penalty to start this race. So he was going to have to give up the lead regardless. It's Rene Garcia and Nick Batista now as Vroman and Deese have gotten together, and that is nearly a track blocker heading into the S's out of the skyline. Mathis and Deese, they are crisscrossing the track with the GT4 approaching. Garcia stacked up. There is a line through, but Garcia going to give up the lead now to Matt Schlosser and Nick Batista. Good God. Nate Siefker is parked across the track, and for his elbow, he's going to tow back to the pits and unblock the track. Good God, that is what we were afraid of here. It's happened on the first lap.
Johnny Alford able to clear Steve Roman down this big, long, and fast straight into the chase.
Well, unfortunately, Vroman has a meatball flag out of that exchange. We'll have to take a look at what happened there. One lap complete. Kevin Bonomi is leading by a little over a second over Gunter and Heggie, as there is Thompson and Schlosser off the track into the chase.
Thompson, I thought Rick might have been able to save that one, but did end up getting off into the grass.
And here comes Johnny Hamby now into the pits to serve his pass-through penalty. Brian Deese went off into the gravel trap in the chase as well. So Bonomi leading the GT3s, Batista leading the GT4s over Matt Schlosser, but Schlosser is trying to track him down. That gap was pretty close until they had to weave through the track blocker there in the S's.
Yeah, we're going to have to go back and try and find a lot of stuff that has happened here.
Up front, so far, things are calm. Oh, and as I say that, I think J.J. Wang is off and around. He is back pointed the right direction. That was up in Griffin's mount.
Garcia trying to make up some positions here in the GT4 class, has gotten around Alex Allen.
Yeah, Garcia's got to feel pretty raw about that. He got trapped by a car that was coming back across in that track blocker. It cost him the lead. He dropped all the way back to 5th in the class. Really back to 6th before he just passed Howland again.
Yeah, and they're stacked up a little bit. Those same drivers still. GT3 drivers that fell back trying to get through. That's Steve Roman and Brian Deese. Trying to get around Alex Howland here. Corey Rutherford has caught up to Howland as well. So that's a battle for 5th in the GT4 class.
Like the skies have closed for now, but they'll be open again soon. Another big squall line approaching. Should hit us by feature time. Jeff Mathis has gone for a spin out of Forest Elbow.
Mathis trying to get it backed up so he can get pointed in the right direction.
Whoa!
Oh!
And that's Rick Thompson, and Thompson pinches Garcia into the wall.
And Garcia's really
poor
getting
Rene
worse of it
Garcia.
here.
No kidding.
And now that's 4 GT3 drivers all stuck together here behind the podium finish, or the podium drivers right now in the GT4 class. Batista out front, Matt Schlosser, and then Dan Miglin are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the GT4 class. Mathis, Deese, Froman, and Thompson in the GT3 class are all behind him.
Yeah, Dan Miglin tried to take a provisional for tonight. Didn't happen. He's here. Yeah, Batista at 2-second lead right now. Bonomi's lead is closing up. Brody Gunter has tracked him down. So we will have somewhat of a battle here for the lead before too much longer for the GT3s.
And let's go ahead and go on board with Brody Gunter trying to hunt down Kevin Bonomi for this lead. Going to get you a look at what it looks like inside this car. The windshield wipers are on. And in the wake of Kevin Bonomi, there is a lot of water being thrown the way of Brody Gunter.
Yes, there is. Rick Thompson, as Gunter slapped the wall there with the right rear. Thompson is off pit road. He's taking his fast repair.
Matt Schlosser is starting to catch up to Nick Batista. This would be a fight for the lead in the GT4 class.
Oh, Rene Garcia is stuck backwards in the cutting across the track, and his bad race keeps getting worse. From 4th down to 7th in the class now, which is last.
Yeah, an abnormal few amount of drivers here. Oh, no, there goes Slosser.
That's Slosser. And this is not a good place to be stuck.
No, that's a really tough place to turn around. I'm going to try and wait. He's looking at his... Oh, my. He's trying to look at his relative. Oh, and he's just going to tow. Might have had a meatball out of that.
Yeah. He hit that wall awfully hard there. Josh Hagee in 3rd has just put up the purple lap of the session. He is, or rather of the race thus far. He is closing in on Gunter quicker than Gunter is catching Bonomi, as Dan Micklin, I think, has gone for a spin now from 2nd in the class. So it's Nick Batista leading pretty comfortably now over Johnny Hamby, who, remember, has crashed in pit already. So he is now in 2nd. The GT4s were just rain-enabled this week, or rather last week with the update. And they don't seem to be liking the rain very much thus far.
No, it doesn't seem like it at all. Although the GT3 drivers have overstepped the boundaries a little bit as well early on here.
Sure. But to be fair, more practice in the GT3s. They've been rain-enabled since the drop of rain this season. So these drivers have a bit more practice in the wet than the GT4 drivers. As there's Joshua Rutherford.
And that was right in front of his brother, Corey.
Corey in the Vegemite car tonight. He's hoping for a tastier result than what the car will show.
I've heard interesting things.
John Newt says, look at all the water. Yep, there's a lot of it. And luckily, it stopped pouring from the sky. But there's no dry line to be had yet, as Kevin Bonomi is barreling down the hill into the chase. The big slowdown. Brady Gunter and Josh Hagee, 2nd and 3rd, not too far behind. Nick Batista, a 14 is 2nd lead right now over Johnny Hamby. Just across halfway, though. Still a lot of evasion to do.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Nick Batista, he's got a pretty healthy lead right now. So he has the luxury of being able to take it a little bit easy, which you really would love to have in the wet conditions. But you can't take it too easy because you know Johnny Hamby's still pushing.
JJ Wang has gone off and around between the chase and Murray's corner. And Corey Rutherford has gone for a spin up the hill out of the Frog Bend, I believe it is. Oh, now it's the Hinksman Vista, apparently. I don't know. We're changing the corner names, I swear.
Steve Roman in the GT3 class going around her GT4 leader, Nick Batista. JJ Wang has recovered nicely. He's now looking to get that 4th position back. He's going to put it up the inside here. Should be able to take it, and does.
So Alford needing positions here. He is the points leader right now, but all 3 of the drivers right behind him are going to finish ahead of him here if they run like this to the finish of the dash race. Dash race pays equal points to the feature race later.
I believe Johnny only 1 point in front of 2nd place.
Gunter just slapped the wall hard in the S's. One of the off-camber S's. It was an awkward little joint there. I don't think he has a meatball flag, so he's okay to continue, but he was pulling up on Bonomi there right quick.
It's easy to make mistakes, so we kind of see these gaps shrink and expand quickly. Nobody's really running anybody down slowly. Some mistakes are happening pretty often here with the wet conditions, so those intervals between drivers, they shrink and expand quite quickly here.
Matt Schlosser's having some problems. He's just picked up another 2X. Joshua Rutherford into the double digits here of incidents in the dash. Remember, 14X will be a drive-through penalty. And Schlosser has picked up another meatball flag, in fact.
And if Kevin Bonomi can hang on to this win, that would be huge for him. He is currently 4th out of those 4 drivers in the battle for the GT3 championship. 7 points out of the leader, Johnny Alford. So if he can pick up a win here, that would be huge for him.
Yeah, Gunter sort of had an up-and-down kind of night. Alford was consistent in the top 5, but no podiums. Bonomi had 2 podiums. Hagee had 2 podiums, I do believe. So they made up big time as there goes Bonomi off into the wall, through the cutting, and Gunter is up into the lead. A tank slapper, if there ever was one. I don't think he hit the wall very hard, but nearly had to come to a complete stop to keep it out of the barriers.
I'm not taking blame for that one.
No, I did it.
No, not that. I'm blaming it on the weather.
Oh, okay.
I have a real excuse this time.
Oh, somebody stopped directly in front of Brody Gunter there. It was Corey Rutherford. Ooh, that was close.
You're right, Tommy. The GT4s have had a really difficult time here. I don't know if it's just because they're a little bit maybe more top-heavy than the GT3s. They just don't get traction very well. Not sure exactly what it is, but they are definitely struggling mightily here.
And really part of it could just be practice.
That is true. Like you said, only a couple weeks to even be able to practice, but I know a lot of these drivers are in other leagues as well, so practice time comes at a premium for a lot of these folks.
So it's now Gunter leading with 6 minutes left to go. Joshua Rutherford will have a drive-through penalty. Some other driver is going to be close to exceeding this incident, the drive-through limit, rather, before the end of the dash race here with a few laps left. Nick Batiste's lead is shrinking, but it's still over 10 seconds. It's 12.5 seconds as of the last scoring loop over Johnny Hamby and Rene Garcia, who is somehow in 3rd right now after the race he's had. I don't really know how.
And there's a battle for 4th here between Dan Miglin and Alex Howland. That's been going on for about a half a lap here. Miglin kind of takes a peek to the inside, but not forcing the issue.
This is about the only battle we've got on the track right now, as there goes Miglin.
Yeah, if you're stuck on the outside there, that's so difficult because that turn is a little bit off camber, kind of slopes away from you. So if you're there on the outside, you're kind of sloped down the hill. It's very difficult to keep any pace there. And there through goes Brody Gunter.
Don't quite have a leader convergence yet.
Not sure we'll have one here in this race. Oh, there goes Miglin!
See ya.
Nearly a full 360, gets back going, but everybody having to slow up behind him. Joshua Hagee is going to get held up big time here.
And Bonomi has caught Gunter through the S's there. Nicely done. Cut the gap down to half a second. Maybe going to sniff just a hint of a draft down the Conrad straight into the chase. These will be the highest speeds. Maybe that they'll go all season until we get to Daytona next week. In the dry, it would be over 170. Here it's about 158 top speed into the trap for Kevin Bonomi. So 2 laps to go. Bonomi keeping Gunter honest. They have ditched Josh Heggie after he got caught up with Dan Miglin. And the gap continues to shrink still for the lead for the GT4s. It's nearly under 10 seconds now, but Batista just needs to put 2 good laps together and he should be able to walk away with it.
And I'm going to say this just because I don't ever get to say it. It might not come as a surprise, but everybody's still with their wet weather tires here. Nobody has switched to the dries.
Rene Garcia has just spun into Griffin's Bend. Or rather, into the quarry. And yeah, that'll be interesting to see if we're going to start next race on the dry. You can kind of see a dry line forming, and it won't start raining for a few minutes into the next session. But you're really putting trust in your ability to time out where you're going to be on the track and also to hit your fuel number if you're going to have to pit that early for tires.
Yeah, I would imagine nobody's probably going to gamble unless it's apparent that it looks like the track's really dry to start the race. I doubt it will be enough for anybody to feel like it's worth it, but it is a potential. I would be surprised, though.
I would also be surprised as well, but if somebody doesn't and they execute, they don't spin, that might be enough of an advantage to come in and get a free pit stop if we get a few good laps in. But again, it is a massive gamble. More problems for Rene Garcia. Now dropped to 4th, and he has parked the wrong direction in Forest Elbow. He has just had a hell of a race here. White flag for Brody Gunter. Bonomi still within a second. So 1 slip up from Gunter, 1 slip up from somebody else in front of the race leader could take him out of it. Gap is closed for Nick Batista with a lap and a half to go, 7 3/4 seconds. As I think Dan Miglin and Rene Garcia have gotten together, still through Forest Elbow.
Battle for the lead, still the closest on the racetrack right now. As soon as this concludes, I'm going to try and take a look at the first lap incident between Deese and Mathis that ended up checking a lot of people up in the GT4 class.
Gunter just lost the rear end there, caught it in time not to slap the wall, but that would have been bad. He's put some distance between he and Bonomi. One more time through the S's for the GT3 leaders.
Bonomi is closing in, but will it be enough?
And Rene Garcia now will pick up a pass-through penalty. Just to add insult to injury. Gonna need a slip up from Gunter, I think, for Bonomi to get into the lead here in the final 4 turns. One more trip through the cutting. Bonomi applying the pressure. Gunter with a nice turn. One more try to turn number 23, Murray's corner, to see if Bonomi can get it done. He outbraked him, but nowhere to go. Brody Gunter across the line will take the dash race for the GT3s. Kevin Bonomi in second. Josh Heggie down the pit straight as well will round out the podium. And we've got a while here for Nick Batista to cross the line, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at our track blocker there on the opening lap.
And this is going to be Brian Deese. Be coming up. Oh, yeah, just goes for a spin there through the right-hander. Coming back down the hill. That's a tough place to spin out. Oh, and then a couple other... that was Steve Roman actually got hard into the wall. I don't know if he was trying to... Thought that maybe Deese was going to be more in the middle of the racetrack or not, but he hits the inside wall really hard there and gets into Jeff Mathis. And then Deese thought he had time to get turned around before GT4s got there. Mathis thought the same. They kind of get tangled. Deese goes around again. Garcia's trapped. And by far, Garcia really got the worst of that blockage right there. So it all led to this. Nick Batista still out front. Hamby has been catching, but how much of that has been Batista just knowing that he has the time to give up, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes?
One last trip down through the chase. And I think he's going to do it. He's got Murray's corner to beat. Hamby closing rapidly, but Batista is going to secure the bag, and Nick Batista is the winner with the ASRL Sports Car Championship. Nicely done. Johnny Hamby in second, and I think Alex Halland is going to round out your podium. And with that, we will send it to the mid-roll here and rejoin you with interviews with our two race winners, Nick Batista, around the turn here from Mount P on turn 200.
A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The dungeon labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
When Alex became a god, he thought he would have no problems at all. Until... he landed in the divine dimension and was tasked with protecting the entire multiverse.
Am I connected to every single Alex Ambrose that ever existed?
Alex could travel across dimensions, defying the laws of time and space, to help other Alexes throughout the multiverse. But then everything changed.
No! Aw!
I have to go back and save them.
But if Alex went back to the mortal world, he would relinquish all of his power and his memories.
I don't have a choice. I must go back.
When Alex returned back to Earth, he goes back to being your average business tycoon millionaire. unaware that the people he cared most about are in danger.
Someone help me.
Yvonne, what happened?
I was attacked by a monster. Alex, what's going on? Get away from him. He is my boyfriend.
Who attacked Yvonne in the forest? What will Debbie do next? Who will Alex choose between the two women? Will Alex ever remember who he was before traveling into a different multiverse? To hear what happens next and whether Alex can stop the deranged monster before he strikes again, listen to the original audio drama, Insta Millionaire Returns, only on Pocket FM. Download the app now and find out.
Turn 200's coverage of the ASRL Sports Car Championship, week number 9 from Mount Panorama Motor Racing Circuit, is presented by Eminent Signs and Graphics, Mullet Music Productions, CJR Graphics, Whiplash Sim Cams, and the American Sim Racing League, celebrating 25 years of sim racing excellence.
Hi folks, welcome back to live coverage, and we are here after your mid-race roll with a first-time winner in the ASRL Sports Car Championship. That is Mr. Nick Batista. Congratulations. What a wild one to get your first win at, huh?
Oh, that definitely was. I was going up the mountain and all the incidents all of a sudden. I was like, oh, Lord, not now. And door opened up, and that was all she wrote. I tried to maintain as much as I could and keep the rhythm that I had.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's kind of difficult because you feel like you really got to be careful and on your toes here in the wet, but you know that folks are trying to track you down when you're in the lead as well. So, I mean, how do you kind of balance trying to keep up pace, but also, you know, trying to keep it on the racetrack as well? Because there were lots of drivers that did not keep it on the racetrack here.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, as the first set of incidents happened, I could see Max Lawson coming up behind me, and I was like, oh, God. And I knew he was sort of faster than me, and then all of a sudden, as we hit the dip and kept going, I looked back, and I saw him spun out, and I was like, oh, damn. So I just head down, head straight, and kept on hitting my marks the whole way.
Well, you did it beautifully here. Congratulations again on the win. Who would you like to shout out here?
I want to give a shout out to my boys at FTN, Renee, Josh, Calvin, Alex, Jarrell, 420, ESGI Graphics. This is special. I really appreciate this.
Well, it's great to get you up here as a race winner. Congratulations. And no matter how this feature goes for you, you go party hard after this one's over.
Oh, I definitely am, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Good luck here, partner.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. Always love a first-time winner here on Turn 200. How about we go from a first-time winner to a 38-time winner? It's Britta Gunter. Well-timed victory after the streak ended last week. We kicked things off right here tonight with a win in the rain here at Mount P. Congrats.
Thank you, guys. Good to be back. Yeah, after the terrible last week, in my opinion.
It certainly did not go well. That is not up for debate. But also not up for debate, you seem to handle the wet here pretty well. A couple of scares, but I think you finished that with a 0x still, which is pretty remarkable.
Yes, sir. I believe a lot of people actually managed to. It was just kind of at first, kind of getting used to racing, I feel like, legitimately in the wet. We hadn't really had any, like, legit rain races yet, but then after a while, I was kind of trying to attack Bonomi, just kept doing some wonky things in places that I'd never done before, and then kind of Bonomi got a little loose in the section I kept saw him get loose in. And then from there, I'll be honest, I just took it very easily because I did not want to lose the lead the same way he did, and luckily I was just barely able to hang on to it.
Well, I feel like this is already going to be a race that was going to be difficult to overtake at. There are obviously a couple of prime positions, but I mean, you really have to set yourself up well for those. But now that the wet is here, I mean, how can you even try to set up passes, especially going to be in your position at the back of this field, or are you just going to chalk this one up to luck and try your best?
Yeah. That's really it. The only thing I don't really know yet. I mean, I've been considering different things. I mean, we might have to go with the Chastain and just hail melon it around the outside in turn 1, maybe. But I don't see it's gonna be very difficult. I think some people. I mean, obviously, I think sticking to the wet a little more difficult than others, so it might be easier with others. But I'm sure people like Heggie and Bonomi, it's gonna be very difficult in this feature coming up.
Just don't pull a Thelma and Louise and yeet yourself from the S's all the way down the hill into one of the sand traps. Save the jump for after the race. But congrats on a win. Who do you want to say hi to?
I guess my mom, my dad, everyone at ASRL and Turn 200, CGI Graphics, Mullet Music Productions. That'd be about it.
Alrighty, partner. Really, truly, good luck here coming up. Everybody's going to need it, but you especially having to start all the way at the back. So hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Hopefully.
I say Thelma and Louise like he knows what the hell that is. He's 12 years old. Movie came out 30 years before he was born, just about. Anyway.
It came out well before we were, too, probably.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he's half our age. Anyway. Yeah, so it's raining. We thought it wasn't going to be raining. It's definitely raining. So forecast is out the window here. Let's just tell you who's in the chat hanging out with us because we don't know what the hell's going on right now. Don Golden's hanging out. Ken Eastep is here. Dakota DeMade was here a little while ago. Goodly Farkai's hanging out. Don Golden, hello. Yes, the Rutherfords are looking for a turnaround here in big time. And Flinky Roberts says they don't like the wet. Certainly not. And Joshua Rutherford, I'm sure, would agree as well. John Newt, there's more water than there was before. So, it does look like the rain has stopped here as we've officially made the swap over to the 40-minute feature race portion of the event. And they will line up like this on the starting grid for the GT3s. Nate Siefker will lead the field to green with Rick Thompson starting to his outside. It'll be Joshua Rutherford and Steve Roman then on row number 2. Brian Deese and Jeff Mathis on the 3rd row. Jarrell Williams, Johnny Alford on row 4. JJ Wang and Josh Heggie on row 5. In the back row will be Kevin Bonomi and Brody Gunter. GT4s then, the invert will benefit Matt Schlosser. He will lead the field to the green with Dan Miglin to his outside. Rene Garcia and Corey Rutherford on the 2nd row. Alex Allen, Johnny Hamby, and then Nick Batista all the way at the tail end of the field here after snagging his first ever ASRL Sports Car Championship victory. Yes, Nick will definitely be celebrating come hell or high water, literally, after this one. But it's time to refocus. Strategy abundant here as the field starts to roll.
That certainly is, and we do have one driver, and I don't know if it's by design or if it was a mistake to forgot to put the wet tires on. Jeff Mathis does have the dry tires on the race car, so that will be something to watch here on the first lap. May be coming in immediately after to put wet weather tires on, but track conditions, like you said, still wet here. 14X drive-through, 21X DQ. That's going to be something to look for. They do get a faster pair still. And here we go.
Track is wet. Skies are dry for now. Green flag is out. Single file, Siefker, Thompson, Joshua Rutherford, the top 3. Glosser, Miglin, and Corey Rutherford, the top 3 for the GT4s.
Somebody hit the wall really hard. And that is Jeff Mathis. I do not think he meant to take dry tires here.
Yeah, Mathis in trouble early as Siefker leading the field to the quarry.
JJ Wayne Wang, looking for a move up the inside of Darrell Williams and will clear.
Nice.
Oh, Brian Dees a little bit wide there as well, and a big slip up. Here comes Wang. Might get stuck on the outside.
Dan Miglin just sent it into turn number 2 and takes the lead from Matt Schlosser. Rene Garcia will follow suit. I mean, Miglin, big move there.
Wang and Dees still side by side up the hill.
Wow.
Wow, that was a scary moment. Wang is all over the place trying to keep it underneath of him. Miglin out front by a pretty good margin. Rene Garcia is going to be in tow with Matt Schlosser, Nick Batista as well.
Yeah, so the dry line was formed up as Rick Thompson has gone around. Johnny Hamby has gone around as well. Matt Schlosser from the lead has lost it. Or rather, from second has lost it. Miglin leading. And Schlosser still pointed the wrong direction here.
Whoa,
and Hamby with a meatball flag.
A bunch of GT3 drivers all kind of stuck together here as they make their way down the mountain. And JJ Wang has cleared Brian Dees.
I think Dees had a huge moment there through Forrest Elbow, and it gave the lead to Wang down the hill.
Brody Gunter has moved up quickly here. Gets around Darrell Williams to get up to 5th.
Siefker has a 3.5 second lead, but he's gone off and into the barrier. Siefker has crashed from the lead. So now it's JJ Wang to the point and Brian Dees right behind him. Dan Miglin from the lead in the GT4s is off the track as well. Cut through the chase entirely, but has given up the time that he gained. That will bring Rene Garcia right back into the fold, though. Well, believe it or not, that was a better first lap than the last time around. No track blockers, but that is not out of the question yet. Field is still relatively close together here, as Nate Siefker and Johnny Hamby both have pits. Hamby with a meatball, Siefker with a lot of damage to either fix or take a fast repair for. Not only is, Steve Roman has just spun. Not only is Brian Dees right here behind JJ Wang, but Hagee is right behind Dees, and Brody Gunter is now on the mix, or in the mix here as well.
Yeah, Hagee got really loose there through the second corner. That right-hander nearly hit the wall, but was able to get it under control.
Gunter is closed right up now to Hagee.
Big time. Kevin Bonomi is now in 5th, but is a good ways behind Gunter and company. 3.5 seconds behind Brody Gunter.
Siefker and Vroman have disconnected as there goes Gunter into the barrier wall after a huge checkup there from Brian Dees. Sort of got everybody stacked up. Dees now drops to 3rd. We'll lose another spot here to Gunter as Hagee and Gunter on the podium behind JJ Wang.
Well, that allowed Bonomi to close in a little bit.
Oh, for the lead for the GT4s. Dan Miglin has crashed in the S's, and Rene Garcia now will see his way to the front of the field. Oh, Miglin is in a precarious spot here. There's not a good place to get turned around. Right at the mouth of the S here. Out of the skyline. But we'll find a way.
Yeah, luckily there wasn't too much traffic behind, so was able to get turned around fairly safely there.
Wang leading the GT3s. Darrell Williams is off the track in the chase. Will give up the 6th spot to Kevin Bonomi. Wang leading the GT3s. Garcia now leading the GT4s. It's Nick Batista already back up to 2nd in class there. Hagee and Gunter 2nd and 3rd in the GT3s.
Kevin Bonomi with the purple lap here. He has caught right up to Brian Dees, looking for more.
That is the fastest lap turn since qualifying. It's a 2:21.38. Blistering lap, all things considered. Expecting the rain to start up again here very quickly. Taking a look at my own weather bug. Actually, not seeing another line approaching here, so maybe the rain is done. The initial forecast was that it was going to start raining right now, but I don't see another line coming at least anytime soon. So maybe we will have some tire strategy here. There was already a dry line forming at the end of 20 minutes in the dash race.
The other championship adversary, Johnny Alford, he currently sits in 7th, though. Looks to on pace to lose quite a few points here if he doesn't make up a few positions.
Top 3 in the GT3s are almost nose to tail here into the S's once more. Wang, Hagee, and Gunter out of the S's into Forest Elbow.
Here goes Kevin Bonomi side by side with Brian Deese, looking to make the pass down into the chase. And completes it before they even get there.
Oh, Hagee with a big lockup. Forces a move on JJ Wang, but then gets it slowed down enough. But now Wang is off into the grass and trying to defend and hang on to the car. Hagee looking for the lead here into Murray's corner. And he'll take it. A crime of opportunity nonetheless, and Brody Gunter will follow through now as well. So it's Wang back to 3rd, Gunter to 2nd, and Hagee to the point.
Yeah, it looked like JJ was hoping to go for maybe a little bit of a crossover coming to the start-finish, but got boxed out there by Brody Gunter.
So according to the forecast timeline, it does look like the last of the rain has gone through. So the rest of this race should be the track drying out. Now you have to try and time your pit stop out with when you think you can get on dry tires the very earliest. Gunter has a look here, and it's going to be a risky one into the cutting. They were wheel to wheel, and Gunter yields.
Gunter nearly got into the wall again as well, trying to step back from that potential incident.
I think that one was more at the hands of Josh Hagee there, playing defense, aggressive defense at that. I mean, every pass matters here with just 3 races to go, including this one in the season. Johnny Alford came into the night as the points leader. He is back in 7th right now. So Alford, I don't think, unless things change here, which Gunter and Hagee just both clipped the barrier there into the S's. Car won't take many of those, and Gunter's done it at least twice in this race.
Here comes Kevin Bonomi onto the scene, trying to make a move on JJ Wang as well. So if Hagee and Gunter continue to battle, it may allow Kevin Bonomi to get into that fight for the lead too.
Joshua Rutherford is pointed the wrong direction on track. He gets it turned back around, and he has picked up a meatball flag. Garcia leading Batista by 6 seconds in the GT4s. You're not missing anything there. No battles in class right now. Hagee, Gunter, pretty close here for 1st and 2nd. Wang and Bonomi are battling right now into the chase.
Bonomi,
and there goes Bonomi.
Yeah, gets it completed there on JJ. And now can set his sights on trying to catch Gunter and Hagee. And likely will with them battling still.
Another purple lap for Bonomi. This track is cleaning up, and so is Bonomi.
Jeff Mathis is down pit road, by the way.
He
has some damage.
He has damage. He also has a penalty. I don't think it was for eclipsing any penalty limit, because I'm actually showing him with a 0x, so he must have cut the course somewhere, but then how do you not pick up a 0x doing that? So I'm not 100% sure what Mathis got a penalty for. Gunter again seems to be a lot better through 2, 3, 4, and 5 up the hill. As I think Deese and Howland have just crashed. That's a GT3 and a GT4. Howland seems to get the worst of it here, but I think he is up and moving once again around Forest Elbow. I think those were separate incidents. They just happened at exactly the same time. Matt Schlosser from third in the GT4 class has just spun, but he does not hit anything. He'll give up a spot to Corey Rutherford now.
And you're right, unrelated incidents there between Howland and Brian Deese, but both get back going pretty quickly.
Oh, Heggie just had a huge save through the last S turn. Gunter clips the inside wall, then the outside wall. He is bouncing around as JJ Wang has gone for a spin around Forest Elbow.
Oh, that's a tough place to try and get it turned around. Deese barely squeezes through there. Oh, JJ still having a problem trying to get this thing turned around.
Gunter unfazed. This reminds me thus far of Kyle Larson at Eldora at the Mud Summer Classic that one year. He just kept banging it off the walls. And then with 2 laps to go, while he finally took the lead, he got a flat tire. Got that same feeling here. Bonomi, not a purple lap. Josh Heggie actually had the purple lap last time by. But Bonomi's still faster than Gunter. And that gap is right about 2.5 seconds from third up to second.
Look at GT4 class leader Rene Garcia. Still over 7 seconds in front of Nick Batista, who won the dash race.
Yeah, we said this was going to be a difficult one for the winners to pick their way up through the field with a full field invert. And they said, no, not really. They're both back up to second in class.
Corey Rutherford having a nice comeback race so far here in the feature race. He's in third in class right now.
Oh no! Heggie lost it! He hit the barriers hard as well. The rear end kicked out from underneath of him. And Heggie is back to second. Gunter is through to the lead. No meatball. But, I mean, he'll have damage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you can see it there on the right-hand side.
Happens that quick. Now he's got to deal with Kevin Bonomi. Gunter's got traffic ahead of him. I think it's Matt Schlosser to deal with as well. And Schlosser yields as much as he can. You see them kind of sort of driving through the puddles. If you don't watch Formula One, you didn't watch the Gilles Villeneuve race this weekend where they had to race primarily in the wet. You know, if you're going to run the wet tires, you do have to keep them cool still, even as the dry line forms. So see them kind of quite literally dipping their toes into some puddles to just try and keep some temperature out of these tires. Gunter is wide through Murray's corner, and there goes Heggie back to the lead.
Bonomi gets around as well. A very uncharacteristic mistake there for Brody Gunter.
Gunter doesn't even get to lead a lap. Heggie resumes the point. Bonomi now up to second. A wild turn of events there. Meanwhile, Nick Batista's lead is shrinking. Rene Garcia is within 3 seconds of the race lead here.
Well, something happened to Rene Garcia.
You're right.
Was in the lead.
Yes, you're right about that. I was thinking about last race. Yeah, Batista has taken the lead. Garcia's fallen back 2 seconds. So something big happened to Rene Garcia.
Yeah, we got a few replays to take a look at here as the leader's starting to get caught in some traffic. This is a bad spot to get caught in traffic.
Yes, indeed. Bonomi having to play defense against Gunter. Heggie trying to get on offense through some traffic here as well.
That's Joshua Rutherford. They just got around, and I believe that is Howland. Awful close.
Gunter gets a kind of a phantom 4X out of that deal, but soldiers on with it doesn't look like any damage.
And boy, after the incident, I thought Heggie was going to struggle with the handling of this car, but that is obviously not the case. He is doing just fine.
I think everybody's just struggling in general. It's literally a drop in the bucket at this point. Oh no! There he goes! He hits the barrier. Gunter hits the barrier behind him as well, but here goes Bonomi for the top spot. Bonomi to the lead.
What a wild race.
We're not even halfway. Heggie coming back. Can he try and make a move? No, he's going to give some space up to Bonomi, the new race leader.
Oh, here comes Gunter looking to get to the inside of Heggie. Heggie's loose on braking, side by side.
Heggie's benevolence going to be mistaken as weakness by Gunter. Gunter going to take second. I think Jarrell Williams has just crashed further back. And indeed he has. He has a meatball flag. What a wild lap here. Bonomi to the lead. Gunter back to second. Heggie back to third. And also, we need to see what happened there with the GT4 lead, as well as Batista now leading Garcia by 3 seconds.
Well, I think something happened to Batista. Made a big mistake because Garcia has closed the gap by 1.5 seconds very quickly.
Yes, he has.
Go ahead and see if we can figure out what happens. Here is the incident for Batista. Or, excuse me, for Garcia, rather. Oh, and this is in the turn number 2 and just loses it. Tries to get through that corner a little too quickly. And then gets on the grass, has a hard time getting it back going in the grass, and Batista just goes right by. We'll watch some other replays here in a little bit as Gunter putting the pressure on Bonomi for the lead.
Yeah, he has left Josh Heggie in the dust or in the water vapor. And now applying the pressure again into the S's on Kevin Bonomi. And Nick Batista not lighting the world on fire in terms of lap times. As, whoa, that was close. His fastest lap is 2 seconds slower than the fast lap in the class. But, I mean, he's had incredible survival instincts tonight. He's made it through everything unscathed thus far. But may have to put his elbows up and defend against Rene Garcia before too much longer to try and hold on to that lead. Rick Thompson is pit with a meatball flag. And that's purple laps from Bonomi and Gunter. We're into the 2:19s now. Track is speeding up. Pole time was a 2:20.
Looks like we may have a moment. Oh, Gunter pretty good through this section.
This is where he had Heggie's number when he was chasing him earlier. Oh, into the wall there in the cutting. I mean, just these little micro transactions with the barriers here are all going to add up here before too much longer.
These microtransactions, squeezing every penny out of that race car.
But as Clint Boyer would say, the juice might be worth the squeeze because Gunter's right back up to the race leader, Kevin Bonomi, into the S's.
Man, those cars look so loose through that really steep downhill left-hander there.
And that would be because they are. Oh, man. That's another shot there for Gunter to the barrier. Those aren't soft walls. This is a public road. But Gunter's got the run here down the Conrad straight. He'll look out to the right. And the chases will put him on the outside of the left-hander here, but inside for the right-hander, and he'll get it cleared. And he gets it woed up in time for the left. Nicely done, Brody Gunter.
Got to be able to make it through this final corner now without going off.
Bonomi outbreaks him. But Gunter unfazed, back out front. Heggie with the damage is 3.5 seconds behind this duo. As this track continues to speed up, it's another purple lap for Gunter. I'm sure Heggie going to be looking for the dry line to appear very quickly so he could try and get an undercut and get some dry tires on this race car and take his faster pair. It's now down to 1.5 seconds for Nick Batista, back to Rene Garcia for the GT4s. Corey Rutherford was running in third. He was the car that you saw off and backwards a couple laps ago in front of Brody Gunter, so that gives the third spot now to Johnny Hamby, but Hamby is down pit road.
As good a time as any. This is what happened to Joshua Heggie when he was out in the lead. That's what puts Brody Gunter through. And then this is the off track in the final corner here for Brody. Just totally misses that braking zone, but is slowed down enough to not hit that tire barrier. That could have been a race ender nearly, as he was already past pit road entrance. That could have been disastrous, but was able to get it slowed down, take his medicine, and he's found himself back up into the lead once again.
Bonomi just had kind of a lock up there through Forrest's elbow and has lost Brody Gunter for all intents and purposes. Over a second behind, down the drafting straight here. So Gunter's setting sail. His opening sector of this lap went purple. His sector 4 just went green, so we may be looking at another purple lap here for the race leader, who is trying to get away and avoid having to deal with undercuts and strategy and all that.
Here's a look at Rene Garcia has started reeling in Batista little by little here. Now down to 1.3 second gap up to the 67 and the winner of the dash race.
Corey Rutherford had got back up to third after Hamby pit, but now Rutherford has crashed again in the S's, and Hamby is back to third. I think maybe my software is glitched for Jeff Mathis, because he came down pit road to serve a black flag, and it never went away. But he has since hit the barriers and gone off track anyway, and he's coming back down pit road.
And here comes the leader up to Rene Garcia, and the leader convergence will be upon us.
Yes, it will. That charge has stalled for Garcia. It hit 1.5 seconds and just kind of stayed there. As Gunter gets through on the GT4 leader without much issue. Bonomi, on the other hand, may have to wait for the entirety of the S's, and that is going to be a killer. Oh, finds a window.
But that allowed Garcia to get closer to Batista as Bonomi made his way through.
14 and a half minutes to go. We'll need a pit stop. Will it be for more wet weather tires, or will the dries go on? Dry lines starting to appear once again. And the rain is gone for good, according to the forecast timeline.
No real battles for position here. The closest one is for the GT4 class lead, but that one has stayed somewhat stagnant. And here comes Joshua Heggie down pit road.
Joshua Heggie from third. Needs a big swing here to get himself back into this race. Is this for dry tires? Are we going to see it, or is he going all in on the wets for the rest of the race? So cool to talk about the tires. I'm glad we got to do this.
I know.
Brian Deese has crashed from fourth. Go ahead.
We're going to find out here in just a moment, and looks like don't think there was a tire change there for Heggie. I think it was fuel only.
All right, well, he'll stick with the wets then. And roll the dice. Yeah, it was, I mean, the dry line is appearing, but, I mean, we're still kicking up a lot of spray here. That was going to be risky for sure. And there will be more races to go. We've got a dash and a feature next week at Daytona Moto to determine a champion for both the GT3 and the GT4. GT4 title's all but settled for Johnny Hamby, who came into tonight with a 60-point lead. Not enough people showed up to really make a difference, so I think Hamby will have it locked up. But we'll wait for official confirmation for that. But nothing settled for the GT3s.
Oh, a little bit of a slip up there for Batista. Went wide through the left-hander, but is able to get back going quickly here. Garcia closer, but not able to capitalize.
Corey Rutherford and Jarrell Williams with meatball flags. They are down pit road.
Ooh, Jarrell Williams. Yeah, the front clip is totally gone.
He was in 7th in class. Had retirements from Siefker, Vroman, Miglin, and Schlosser, so 2 and 2 across the two classes. No pit stops from either Gunter or Bonomi this time around, so the top two stay out. Gunter leaving Bonomi behind 2.4 seconds right now. The lap times have started to fade a little bit, even though the track is improving still. And is that the tires starting to go away? These wet weather tires, they have less tread, or they have, you know what I'm trying to say. They have more grooves. There's less surface area on the track. Once the track does dry out, this will not be the fast tire to be on.
We gotcha. Looks like Garcia making up a little bit of time on Batista on pit road here.
Yes, indeed. As they both hit the pits, it could be a pass on pit road.
Like fuel
Batista
only.
In a low gear. He will still be in the lead, but Garcia right behind him. And are these the wet weather tires?
Yes, they are.
So nobody going for it yet of our early pitters. Still 10 minutes to go.
Looks like Corey Rutherford's going to put the dries on after getting his damage fixed.
All right. It's time to learn. We did see Rick Thompson out on the wet track in practice with the dry tires on. Didn't look like it was going exceedingly well, but he was trying.
We did see Jeff Mathis as well, but that was while it was still raining. I believe that was a mistake. So
yeah.
Didn't really get to see them in an optimal scenario with Mathis.
Bonomi has got back on his horse. He's just turned 2 purple sectors in a row, but gave up a lot of time there through the S's.
Garcia has come to life since this pit stop is all over Nick Batista.
Here comes Gunter and Bonomi. Oh, Josh Hagee has crashed from 3rd. Hagee now back up and rolling, but Brian Deese has gotten through.
Garcia side by side with Batista. Batista decides to kind of back off. Did not like the scenario.
Gunter is away. So is Bonomi. And I don't think the jacks went up on either of those cars.
No, still sticking with the wets for both of them as well.
So Bonomi lost about a second on that exchange. Garcia ahead of Batista here for the GT4s. They had to let some GT3 traffic through. 7.5 minutes to go, and the leaders in both classes have made their stops. So I think we've got our contenders for the rest of this race. But Gunter has pulled away from Kevin Bonomi. Just on this lap alone, he's nearly a second up on Bonomi, even with Bonomi turning a purple 4th sector. Batista has lost a ton of time here letting GT3 drivers through. That gap was just over a second. Now it's 2.5 seconds as Deeth and Alford have gotten through. They are in 5th and 6th. Corey Rutherford's troubles continuing. He has just hit the barrier pretty hard there. Oh, and Corey Rutherford. I don't know how that happened, but it says he's been disqualified. Only showing him with 13 incident points. So that's interesting.
Comes Johnny Alford down on the pit road. Should be, I believe, the last one to do so.
And Alford not in danger of losing a position. He's got over 2 minutes back to Joshua Rutherford in 7th. So nearly a full lap on the 64. Brian Deese spinning from 5th through turn number 2. But he is not under threat for position, so he will get away with no further issue. Josh Hagee was, relatively close to the top two after pit stops there. But after his incident a couple laps ago, he has fallen over 30 seconds behind. So there's an incident limit, Dawn. But Corey didn't exceed it. At least not from what I can tell. So I don't know why he was disqualified. The sim acted like he did exceed the incident limit. So there's something I'm not seeing that would indicate why Corey got disqualified there. Unless he disqualified himself, which would be interesting, because he has the power to do that if he so chooses. I don't think he would do that. Joshua's still out here. So Rene Garcia now has a comfortable 5-second lead over Nick Batista. Nearly shaping up there for double sweeps momentarily. And who's to say that we still won't have it, or that Gunter could lose his lead. But with 3 minutes to go, Bonomi's got to find something, and he's got to find it quick. Well, this has quickly become one of our most utilized venues here on Turn 200. Something we've sort of been forced into loving and enjoying, I think. But today's been an interesting experiment with our first wet weather race here. And I'd say a successful one in terms of it hasn't been a total, complete disaster.
I mean, you're going to have your incidents, of course, but you're right. And I think part of it is they've set the weather up well here, because it's not like it was downpouring. In fact, the sun is starting to come out here a little bit at parts of the racetrack. So I think it was done well for a first outing in rain here.
Bonomi is catching Brody Gunter. Maybe Gunter had a slip up somewhere on the track. Maybe Bonomi is just powering through, but visibly has cut into this gap. Oh, almost 2 seconds quicker, and gets the purple lap to boot. Bonomi is on the move.
Well, he's only got one more lap to get it done. That is the white flag waving.
At the rate he did the last lap there, he might have a crack at it if he can keep on that pace. It wasn't that Gunter slowed down. He didn't. He ran consistent 2 laps in a row. Bonomi just went way faster. But it might be 1 lap too late. We'll see. Nothing going for Garcia as he approaches the white flag. He's got 4 seconds back to Nick Batista. A second and a half. It could all change here into the S's. Oh, Gunter's super loose there.
That's likely going to take a pretty good mistake from Gunter here for Bonomi to even have a chance.
They're for his elbow, the last real trouble spot. And at this point, it's Gunter's to lose. You put some space back to Bonomi there through the S's. Through the chase for the final time. The gap is closed for the GT4 battle. We'll be watching that here momentarily. But first, after not winning at all last week for the first time this season, it is now a sweep for Brody Gunter. He takes the wet weather races here at Mount Panorama. Kevin Bonomi, a hard charge there at the end, but he will come up one spot short. Rene Garcia had it off track, and that has cut the gap down from 4 seconds to under 1 second. They are up at the peak here and getting ready to head to the downhill into the S's. Incidents for Brian Deese and Jarrell Williams here on the final lap. Just as quickly as that gap got under 1 second, it's now back up over 2 seconds as Batista was trying to make way for Joshua Rutherford. And Rutherford says, I don't want to go through. You guys are battling for the win. But then there's a little bit too late there for Batista, who is now going to be out of it without a mistake from Rene Garcia. And on the final lap, Johnny Hamby has just picked up an incident limit black flag. So that should give him a penalty here. We'll have to see how steep it is. But again, he should have the championship well in hand heading into next week's finale. Garcia through the chase for the final time. Batista closing in again. Will need a mistake here through the final turn to pull off a sweep of his own. It'll be Rene Garcia to take a win here at Mount Panorama. Batista follows up his first career victory with a runner-up. We'll talk to him again here in booth 200. So Rene Garcia takes another win here in the GT4s. It's his second of the season and the fifth of his career with the ASRL Sports Car Championship. Brody Gunter, did he just try the jump? Did I miss it?
No, he kind of, I think he spun out before that. I kind of missed
he
it, though,
sidestepped
if I'm being
it.
quite honest.
I was going to say, I don't know. It's hard enough with the rolling drag now and the lower speeds of these cars to try and pull off that jump, but I would imagine in the wet it's impossible. You might actually just get stuck in the sand before you make it to the jump. Still worth a try, though.
Trying to see if anybody's going to try it. Anybody's going to try it. It might be Jarrell Williams. And it will not.
Okay. We'll give you your full finishing rundown then after the 40-minute feature here at Mount Panorama. For the GT3s, it's a sweep for Brody Gunter. Kevin Bonomi, a hard-fought second here. We'll talk to them momentarily. Josh Heggie in third. Fourth place for J.J. Wang. Fifth for Brian Deese. Johnny Alford going to be on the back foot heading into the final race of the season. Came into tonight as the points leader, but picked up a fifth and a sixth tonight. Will have his work cut out for him to try and take the title next week. Then it's Joshua Rutherford, 7th in class. Rick Thompson, 8th. Jarrell Williams, 9th. Jeff Mathis, 10th. Steve Roman, and Nate Siefker. The rest of the finishing order for the GT3 class. Next for the GT4s, Rene Garcia with the win. Nick Batista in second. We'll talk to these two gentlemen momentarily. Johnny Hamby in, I believe, is going to be credited with a third-place finish despite picking up the black flag there on the final lap. Alex Halland will finish in fourth. Corey Rutherford in fifth. Matt Schlosser and Dan Miglin, both DNFs, in fifth and sixth. We'll go hunting for your runner-up finish. And we'll hot swap Nick Batista back into booth 200 here. Welcome back. It's not been too long, but congrats on the runner-up.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I got a question. Can you guys do a double interview?
We can. You want to bring Renee up here?
Yeah.
All right. We've done this a time or two. Yeah, we'll bring Rene Garcia up. Why not? A double interview here for the drivers that were battling for the GT4 win there late in the going. Welcome in Renee Garcia as well. We didn't get to talk to Renee earlier, so I want to ask, I guess, how relieving is it to get the win here after the hellacious dash race that you endured there?
It feels good. That was a horrible dash race. I didn't have Hamby's pace, nor Nick's pace. I was set to go, and then the roadblock happened and set me back. After that, it was a disaster. But it feels good to win. Well deserved. I don't know if I could have held off Nick for like another lap or two. To be honest, he was pretty fast. By the way, there's a thing that we have going on, so maybe you guys can pick it up. It is Nick the Pro Batista.
Oh my God.
Nick the Pro. Nick the Pro. I like that. So we'll ask the Pro here. That gap closed right up on the final lap. Was that pace? Did Renee have a slip up in front of you? And then you had some traffic approaching as well there that kind of threw a wrench in the plans there on the final lap, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was surprising. I saw the two GT3s coming up, and I was like, oh man. And then right at the bottom, I saw Renee have a twitch. Next thing I knew, I was like right on him, and we kept going after that. The GT3s, thank God, didn't come through. So it was a pretty mad dash at the end. I had a slip up. That's how Renee got me coming down the hill. So yeah, it was an incredible race.
Well, Matt, you got your pick of the litter here. Go for it.
Well, first of all, congrats to Nick on another great finish here. I get the first win and then wrap it up with a second as well. Nearly got another one, but what a great night for you. And then Renee and Tommy already talked about it. The unfortunate first race here, but I guess this is kind of a question for both of you. Seemed like the GT4 cars actually struggled a little bit more than the GT3 cars. Is that just kind of a lack of practice with the GT4 cars only having rain for a couple of weeks here, or is it the cars themselves being a little bit more difficult to handle than the GT3s?
I'll let Nick the Pro go first.
Oh my God. So for me, I mean, I knew this when they announced that it was going to be a wet race. We started practicing. We started practicing in earnest and trying to figure out how to get a balance. I mean, the GT4 car was for me at least was very twitchy up on the hill, but on the straights and going up, it was pretty balanced. So it wasn't that bad. Just on top of the hill, that it was pretty sketchy.
Well, for me, I never practiced till I joined today, so that explains race one probably. And I felt pretty secure. The only sketchy parts was up the hill, the right-hander, and then coming down the hill to the back straight. The car just felt really light. Traction kicked in hard. I just gotta say this: I was not gonna win that race. I got very lucky that coming out of pits, Nick had a bobble down the hill, and I was able to get through. If it wasn't for that, it was over. So I'll take it. Nick the Pro, I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good, man. Don't worry. Well, it was definitely a good battle.
We got your shout outs earlier, Nick, but did you forget anybody the first time around?
My friends, my family, SGI, Renee, Josh, Jarrell, Calvin, Alex, the gang. I mean, this was a track that I picked and never expected that it would have this kind of result. So I'm totally ecstatic.
Yeah, you picked well. A 1-2 for you here tonight. Congrats on your first win and to following up with another podium. Renee, shout outs for you here on the top step for the second time this season.
Same. My family, my kids, my wife, Eminent Signs and Graphics, ESGI, 420 Motorsports, FTM, the gang, which is obviously Nick the Pro Batista, Joshua, Terrell, Alex, Calvin. We have a pretty cool group going, and it's just fun to get together and have fun in these races. So Really appreciate it for everyone, ASRL, you guys having a broadcast to watch after the race. It's pretty cool. So it's fun. I enjoy it. This is more than I expected, so I'll take it. So no hard feelings here.
Well, go celebrate with the team. A great night for you, and we'll talk to you both again here hopefully next week at Daytona.
Hopefully.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go in search now of Kevin Bonoli, the runner-up finisher for the GT3 drivers. There he is. We'll hot swap in your runner-up finisher. It's Bonomi. Back into booth 200. I just realized what happened to the mononym. You're rocking the mononym there in the sim all last season, but now it's Kevin Bonomi in the sim rather than just Bonomi. Regardless, though, a great P2 for you here tonight. Charging up right to Brody Gunter and turning some wicked fast laps there the last couple of circuits around.
Yeah, it was very interesting racing with the rain. I was expecting a crossover period, but that never came because the sun never came, so it was very gloomy out there. But I was just playing it safe. I needed those points really in the championship, and in those last laps, I was like, you know what? I'm trying to show what I'm made out of.
Yeah, it was that, especially that penultimate lap there, the 2:18, the quick lap, really of the session once it started getting wet out on track. That was an impressive lap for sure. Matt, what do you got here?
Yeah, congrats on the P2 here. You had a lot of speed all night long, and I guess looking forward to next week. What do you make of a four-way battle for the championship here, where it seems like just about anything could and will be able to happen?
It's going to be tough. I think one of us is going to crash out and die, that's for sure. But it's going to be good racing.
Absolutely. Anytime you can go to the Rovals, they always put on a good show, and you seem to be inclined to do well at the Rovals as well. So we're excited to see what you got here in the championship hunt. But nice job here tonight with two runner-up finishes. Who do you want to say hi to? Who do you want to thank?
My family, my brothers, and my wonderful teammate Hunter, who helped me immensely with the weather.
Yeah, it's kind of sucks that he wasn't out there, but I'm glad he was of service still.
Yeah.
So, congrats to you on a runner-up here, and we'll hopefully talk to you again next week.
All right, thanks.
And if any race I did not have pegged for a sweep, it was here tonight. But Gunter gets the broom out, and he will take double P1s, leaving New South Wales, Australia tonight. Welcome back to the booth.
Thank you, guys. Yep. I mean, if you would have told me the first sweep of this season would have been on the rain race, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah. I would agree. I did not have that one pegged at all. But it's funny because not only you, but Nick Batista as well. I mean, you both took no time getting up through the field, and there really wasn't a lot of incident there on the first lap. It's just you both found your way to the front right away, and we're in the mix again.
Yes, so definitely. It was, kind of just... It's interesting going down a straightaway, and you look down, you're still in second gear for a long time. Because everyone was very, creeping down the straightaway, worried, and then... just kind of weaving through the traffic on a straightaway was very interesting. It's obviously rain is a whole nother driving style. This was really fun, just, kind of taking everything you've learned about road course racing and just racing overall and just you throw it out a window. And then you kind of have to find a whole different, type of racing where you're trying to avoid things you always want to hit. Your markers are either different or you kind of just completely ignore the racing line entirely, but it's very interesting. I enjoyed, every second of it, not just because I won, just because, it was just fun to do something this unique.
Matt, what do you got for the race winner?
Well, congrats on the sweep here tonight. You kind of talked about throwing everything you know out the window, but it wasn't raining the whole time. I'm sure the track conditions were changing quite a bit here in the feature races. The rain stopped and the track started drying a little bit. How do you kind of touch your toes into pushing a little bit harder when it starts to get a little bit drier than it was previously?
I mean, my strat was just, very carefully. I mean, I'm sure this is something that's a lot easier in real life because you can feel the grip from the last turn and then go into the next one. But this one, it's a lot of just sound. It was constantly, I felt like, listening for how loud is the tires making contact with the ground with the rain, and then hoping based off of that it does what you think it's going to do into that next corner. But yeah, it was just a lot of that, I felt like.
Yeah, a lot of close calls there with the barriers, a few lockups. You had that one into Murray's corner where you gave up the lead after just taking it from Josh Heggie not too long ago. But, I mean, anytime you can wrap up with, I think you did pick up a Phantom 4X by GT4 there, but, I mean, anytime you can wrap up with a low incident count here and a sizable lead coming across the line, I'd say that's mission accomplished, especially given the task at hand tonight.
Yeah, so definitely. I think really the only really incident I would count, was that off track on that one corner, which, I mean, I just kind of took myself because I think I got too far on the right and all the rubbery, wet rubber, and it didn't stop like I thought it was going to. But yeah, that would have been the only kind of incident minus the Phantom GT4, which I'm guessing had to be Alex maybe when we were driving by him. I think I touched him. And then me spinning out to the checkered flag.
I mean, that's a good incident to pick up there when you're whipping donuts in the rain here. But congrats on the sweep here, headed into championship week once again. You're on the front foot. You've got the hot hand headed to Daytona next week. Who do you want to shout out and who do you want to say hi to?
Same as before, ASRL Turn 200. I appreciate you guys obviously doing everything you guys do at the broadcasting. I always enjoy watching it back, and I feel like you guys do it very well, sometimes better than some like local track announcers where I go to in real life. But Turn 200, ASRL, Mom and Dad, CGI Graphics, and Mullet Music Productions.
Alrighty, partner, go celebrate, and we'll talk to you again here soon.
All right, thank you guys.
There is Brody Gunter, a winner for the 38th time, just as quickly as he picked up his 37th win. And he is looking to take a third consecutive championship next week. Johnny Alford has got some work to do. Kevin Bonomi may have leaped Josh Heggie in the standings tonight. The Gunter will have a bit of a cushion to play with at Daytona Moto next week, where Bonomi may be the favorite. It'll be awfully close between him and Gunter. But Gunter, looking a little more comfortable than he was coming into tonight.
Yeah, certainly. He's going to be going in with that points lead, of course, and that's going to be huge because every point does matter, as we all know. But tonight it was a great. Corey called it an experiment earlier on in the Discord today, and it was a little bit of an experiment, but it was done quite well. Drivers handled it well. Also, great stuff here tonight from those guys. So shout out to all the drivers that came out to participate. And looking towards next week. That's going to be a fun couple of races to close this thing out. Especially at Daytona Moto is a kind of a strange little track that probably not a lot of the drivers haven't raced all that much. So it'll be interesting to see how next week goes and crowning a champion or a couple of champions, I guess. That's always fun.
Absolutely. So Daytona Moto next week for ASRL. Before we get through the rest of the calendar here, Matt Williamson, we had quite a few people interested in joining us here tonight. Hopefully they were rewarded with some good racing.
Yeah, we certainly did. Unfortunately, Ken Eastep was not here with us driving tonight, but he was in the chat, so shout out to Ken for hanging out with us. Don Golden, as always, cheering on the Rutherford boys. John Newt, Flinky Roberts was here. Good to have Flink. Josh Rutherford, Mullet Music Productions. Dakota DeMade was here. He wanted to see how this thing went at the beginning, and he was not disappointed. And, of course, Goodleaf was here as well. As I should have started counting how many streams she tunes into in a row, because it's got to be a record for us. But shout out to Goodleaf and anybody else that was watching here tonight. We greatly appreciate it. And we got some special stuff coming up tomorrow, Tommy.
Yes, indeed. Double Trouble tomorrow. It is our first ever vodcast tomorrow night. It will be Turn 200's track record. We are open qualifying the NASCAR trucks on Wild West Motorsports Park. That is a dirt road course with jumps and everything tomorrow night The NASCAR trucks will be there, and we'll be talking all things Turn 200, the wide world of motorsports, and our first ever special guest. We'll have an in-depth interview with the man of the hour, the new winningest driver in Turn 200 history, Hunter Ingrab. Will stop by for a lengthy interview tomorrow. We'll be taking your viewer questions and your phone calls as well. So it's going to be an interesting sort of play it by ear first ever vodcast tomorrow at 7 o'clock, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I can't remember. Maybe 7:30. Come join the Discord server. We'll give you all the details there. That link is in the description of the video. But after that, we'll go straight into coverage of the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series from Iowa. Short track racing tomorrow night with the trucks, with the new package. It'll be the first short track race that we've had here on the channel with the new package. So that'll be interesting to see what the Max V boys have for the field. And then Sunday, we'll be back here with the Mission R Challenge from Laguna Seca, the top split strength of field season opener for the Sunday exclusive trophy and for the All Divisions official title. They'll be at Laguna Seca for the first time on Turn 200. Then that will lead us back into the Venom Truck Series, the kosher brand Pickle 190 from Richmond, round number 3 for the Venom boys on Tuesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. And then that brings us to our 2 races to close out the season next Wednesday night for the ASRL Sports Car Championship from Daytona Moto, again at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. That is all we got for you here tonight. Thank you to everybody with the ASRL Sports Car Championship. Thank you to the GOAT, the one and only Mr. Matt Williamson. Until we meet again from Mount Panorama in Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia, I'm Tommy Cook, saying so long and congratulations to Brody Gunter on the sweep, Nick Batista on his first career ASRL Sports Car Championship victory, and Rene Garcia on his second win of the season.
This has been a live broadcast on Turn 200. Be sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of when we go live next. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.